delivered in season 1 on so many levels, and yesterday somehow it wowed us even more. There is lots to get excited about this afternoon with races 2 and 3 of the weekend. We will go back to back. Hi everybody, Greg Ruston, Aaron Noonan with you live here on SBS at Queensland Raceway. Does it get any better than this? 25 degrees, hardly a cloud in the sky.
When you're from the southern states, Greg, and you have white pasty skin like this is exactly the place to come for this sort of temperature. And the racing, well, it's been sensational yesterday. We get double dose today with 2 more races in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series.
Delighted to have an international star join our series in its first year for this round, and it was a masterclass by JK Vinay, the Frenchman, yesterday, wasn't it?
Super job, gave Audi its first win in TCR Australia this year after Garth Tander did the winning at the Ben Motorsport Park, so they've kept that momentum running with that very same car. Different driver, different track, same result. Did a stunning job. Won by nearly 8 seconds in the end, which in this sort of a category and this sort of tight competition, that's a big margin.
Let's bounce through a couple of bits of news and tidy up what happened in yesterday's race. Some headlines coming out just now in relation to JK Vinay, and we understand he may not be able to take part in today's race.
There's just been a press release issued that he's unfortunately ill today. He has been at the circuit this morning, but due to illness will not be starting. So there's been a replacement driver put into this number 4 Audi for these next 2 races today. Very last minute deal. Aaron Seaton, the son of the great Glenn Seaton, who won the Touring Car Masters round here last weekend. He swaps from TCM to TCR this weekend. He starts from the back of the pack in a very last minute deal.
He's a great young guy too, so we wish him well this afternoon. Let's deal with some engine drama for Chris Pither yesterday, which sidelined him from race 1. That's a shame.
Yeah, it was a real shame. They had to get in and change the engine to the Renault Megane there, and they just didn't have the time between qualifying and race 1 to get him out in the race. He did some exploratory laps late yesterday afternoon to check that everything was okay. He'll be a starter again today.
Series leader coming into the Queensland round is the very exciting Will Brown, who drives for Hyundai. Great character of the sport, but yesterday it did not go to plan.
Remember in yesterday's telecast I said that the person most likely to beat Will Brown was Will Brown. Will Brown beat Will Brown yesterday because he made a mistake trying to challenge with John Martin down at turn 6. There was contact. Both those cars came to the pit lane. They did get back out there. They finished a lap down, but Will Brown got a drive-through penalty because he cut the track. And speaking of being cut, his series points lead's gone from 125 back to 102 over Dylan O'Keefe in the Alpha.
The other half of that story that Aaron has just covered, of course, is John Martin, the Honda driver, off the back of a great round at Tailem Bend in South Australia. He too was kind of left with wounds yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he's got a fast car, and those 2 cars can really come through the field today. He won the last race in the last round at the Ben Motorsport Park, and those Honda Civic Type Rs, they're competitive.
All right, at the Kelly Racing side of pit lane, we have an international guest in the engineering side of the business here, helping them to try and improve those Astras this weekend, and they have definitely taken a step forward. But Andre Heimgartner will not take part in Sunday's action.
He is the most jinxed driver in TCR, isn't he? Remember that he had engine drama with the Subaru at the Bend, so they moved him into the Astra this weekend. Engine drama yesterday as well. He's out for today, sadly. We're down one of those Kelly Racing run Astras.
Whew. So there's a bit to cover, and we'll continue to do that during the racing with Emma Francesco and Cameron Vandenuggen, and we'll take you straight to the grid. Here's Cam now.
Further breaking news down in the lane. Molly Taylor, turbo issue.
Yeah, we're just on the run-up, just let go. So I guess good timing that it happened. We got a chance to change it, but obviously it's just a race against the clock now.
It just seems like the hits keep coming for you at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a very challenging start. Obviously challenging from my end because of jumping into something new, and then we've had all these extra challenges. But that's motorsport. So I knew it was going to be a big year from every angle. So yeah, just going to do the best we can. Hopefully get out there.
Thanks, Mol.
Thanks.
We're on grid position 8 with James Moffat in the Renault Megane. We are really proud of the various marks that are on the grid in this sport, and Renault taking an increased involvement in the game this weekend. And James Moffat, that's really exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have the support of Renault Australia and see all the people out here from Renault, various different car clubs as well supporting us this weekend. So it's fantastic to have that behind us. Hopefully we can put a good show on for everybody at Renault these 2 races today.
All right, we're going to have to bounce through this just quickly. You feel okay about the race? How are you looking?
Yeah, absolutely. We've made the start grid today, so that's a positive from yesterday. So, yeah, keep it clean in this first one and set ourselves up for race 3.
All right, there's a guy who knows how to race and race hard. We look forward to seeing him do well today. At the back of the car here, really excited to welcome Alison Vanendungen, the Corporate Communications Manager from Renault Australia, and alongside her, Barry Rogers, of course. Collectively, you guys have been able to work very hard to stitch something together that, Baz, I know you're really proud of.
That's it. No, really proud to have Renault on board. I mean, they're a firm that is steeped in motorsport history, and to bring the RS brand to Australia and be able to promote it through TCR from our end. We love running the yellow and black cars, and support that Renault Australia have given us in recent times has been fantastic. Yeah,
Alison, two-part question to you. What's the reaction been like internally? And we love the activation you guys have here this weekend at QR.
Yeah, the dealers are really, really excited, and I think, as Moff mentioned, the car clubs are really getting behind TCR as a category. They're loving seeing their race car out on track, and that's the best thing about the Megane RS. You can get it available in dealerships all over the country.
Yeah, cool. I love the car club element too. It keeps that passion there, doesn't it? Let's go to Cam now.
I've got pole sitter now, Dylan O'Keefe, mate. You'll take it any way it'll come, but it wasn't all easy running yesterday. Some overheating issues and some brake issues as well.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday wasn't easy for us, that's for sure. So just trying to get it to the finish. Luckily for me, Tony fell off the road at the exit of turn 1, which we saw. So got one for free and then got another for free this morning. So can't complain with that. We know the car's speedy. We saw that in practice and qualifying. So the guys from ASM have given me a great car to do the job, and today I need to execute that. So really looking forward to this one.
Now, I know Baz Hay, who's working with you, is really focused on the series, and we're getting down to the business end now of the Car Sales TCR Australia series. Where do you think you're placed? I mean, it's all about getting those points, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about the championship points. We closed the gap a little bit yesterday. There's still 3 rounds to go after this one, so I don't think the championship's done. Will's off the back. He can get caught in trouble today. Hopefully I'm out in clean air out front. So see how we go, but try not to worry about that at the moment.
Good luck, Dylan.
Cheers.
It's at the hotter motor races on the Australian calendar toward the end of the year where you see this kind of thing happening. So Alex Rouleau doing just a bit of relaxing before you get going.
Yeah, just chilling out. Car looks good. Hopefully it's fast, and yeah, we'll try and move forward.
Obviously a shame in terms of what happened to your Astra stablemate, teammate, Andre Heimgartner, who's perhaps watching the coverage this afternoon. Is your car okay, and were there any concerns for you during that race?
No, nothing engine related. Even the German guy Marcus from Lubna said it was pretty strange what happened to Andre's car, so we'll need to diagnose that and have a look at that. But no, we've still got a few teething issues with my car, but nothing too serious. So yeah, hopefully we've made a right move in terms of setup, and yeah, we can move forward.
You'll get him this afternoon. Thank you.
Cheers.
The Enforcer on the front row of the grid. You got a podium yesterday. You must be happy with your progress in these TCR cars.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great. It's a shame that it's been this way, though. I'd like to get the front row because I've raced there, but our French teammates come down a little bit ill, unfortunately. But you take them as they roll, and yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I was in a front row at a race a little while back, but yeah, great. Pressure's on now, though. Got to get a good start. They're not easy to start, these front-wheel drive cars. Very easy to light the fronts up off the mark. So going to have to concentrate a bit, and I've got Mr. O'Keefe next to me here, and he's going pretty well at the moment, but he's got a championship to think about. I haven't got anything, so we'll have a bit of a run at it.
Look at the smile at the moment. Now, the bend, it was challenging to get used to a front-wheel drive car. You've obviously come to terms with it. A lot of people, I would imagine, are asking you, what is it like to drive these cars? Take us through it.
Oh, look, there's nothing relative to a rear-wheel drive car at all. You know, they're very taily off the mark. The first few laps, very oversteery, and you've got to keep on the throttle. And the thing is, you'll notice, and a lot of the viewers will pick this up from the in-car cameras, that there's no transition point. There's no roll, what we call it, into a corner. You're either on the throttle or on the brake. Nothing in between. So that's the good thing about it. You're one or the other. So very entertaining, very edgy as well. Very edgy to drive, but you have to keep up what we always call is get up on the wheel. That means you've got to concentrate because they'll bite you and they'll punish you if you get it wrong. So that's a good thing about the category.
Good luck in this race.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Been noticing an increasing presence of Hyundai Motorsport apparel on the grid. Lots of people here supporting you, Will Brown, but in terms of our first season, we're not used to seeing you at the back of the grid though, mate.
Oh, I don't know about that. I keep doing it the hard way at every track, starting last, but no, it'll be all right. It's a bit harder to pass around here, so we'll have a crack on the first lap and see what we can do, and then we'll work it out from there.
What was the outcome yesterday in the wake of the chat about you and John Martin? Have you spoken to him, and what did the officials have to say about it?
Yeah, neither of us were too worried about it. I think it was just one of those things that we all all got balked up at the last corner there, and I couldn't back out, and he didn't know I was there, so it was one of those things. But, you know, we'll have a crack today and see how we end up.
If confronted with the same thing, how would you play it?
With the, I'd poke my nose in straight away again.
There we go.
Happen.
We love his straight talk. It's going to happen. Cheers.
Well, I've got hashtag internet sensation Jordan Cox. Started 8th yesterday. You've got yourself up into the second row. You're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we're moving forward. Yeah, it's going to be a tight race. Like, there's nothing in it. I think it's the person that can get around the first lap, move as far forward as they can, is going to be the one that stays there. So it's all about this first lap, mate. Watch out.
Now, can we get you a newer race suit? Because this is very vintage.
Retro library, mate. That's what I'm going for. So, no, we'll get one eventually, I think. I'll hit Gary up for a GRM one, maybe. So, yeah. I like one of his old Balloon suits. They always look cool. So, mate.
Good luck, Jordan. Get in the car.
So Jordan Cox in the Alfa Romeo, jumping into the car that Jimmy Vernon has been driving so far this year. He'll start now from position 4 as a result of the change with the Audi that won yesterday's race. So P5 on the road yesterday, P4 on the grid now as he buckles into one of 2 Alfa Romeos in the field. The other one will start from pole position with Dylan O'Keefe at the wheel. 2 race wins this year for him down at Phillip Island earlier in the year. If you didn't see the telecast yesterday, here are the highlights of race 1. Jean Carbonet, the Frenchman on board the Audi, got the jump from pole position. 4 different cars and 4 different drivers with the 4 poles so far this year. Aaron Cameron, James Moffat, starting from the pit lane. Cameron accidentally released the firebomb in that car. This was the big drama for Will Brown. Some contact with John Martin at the final turn. Brought the tyre off the rim on the Hyundai. He had to limp back to the pit lane. The Hondas were chasing, but then John Martin had, as a result of that contact, problems with his right rear. He limped back to the pit lane. The safety car came out because of this debris on the road. It was a short, sharp safety car period, just a couple of laps. Will Brown was back in the lane for a drive-through penalty because he shortcut from turn 3 to turn 6 while he was limping his way through. Jason Bright, contact with Leanne Tander at turn 3. Bright crossed the line 10th but was given a 10-second post-race penalty. He dropped back to 13th in the results. That was Andre Heimgartner's Astra failing. The engine, unfortunately, bringing the Kiwi to a standstill after he was up in the top 5. But it was the visiting Frenchman, Jean Carbonet, who got the job done for the Melbourne Performance Centre team and took victory in race 1, round 4 of the car sales TCR Australia Series. Set a fastest lap of the race as well, and a handy margin, nearly 8 seconds back to Dylan O'Keefe. 2 Audis on the podium, Russell Ingall next. Tony D'Alberto ran on the podium earlier on, but slipped off the road at turn 1. He finished 4th in the Honda. Then Cox and Cameron, great job from the pit lane. Morecambe in the next Hyundai, then Alex Rouleau, James Moffat, Bright from 10th, back to position 13. The work continuing at Kelly Racing with Molly Taylor's Snap-on Tools Subaru WRX. Greg Rusters join me in the commentary box as we get ready for this second race of the weekend. Let's have a look at the track map. Queensland Raceway, 3.13 kilometres. Doesn't look like much on television here, but it delivers good racing.
Most people say the same thing, Aaron, that the simplicity of it kind of hides the fact that there are some very technical elements to this track, and in relatively recent time, parts on various exits and the like of the corners, curbing and things has been widened. Drivers are taking advantage of that.
They will always take advantage of it if you give them some extra road to play on and some extra curbing. Turn 3, that's the big passing opportunity for so many of them in TCR this weekend. Turn 4 is another one. Turn 6 is a place that you can get it done as well. We're getting ready for race 2 in round 4 of the car sales TCR Australia Series. The drivers are bolted in and ready to go. And speaking of a lap around this circuit, let's jump on board for a hot lap from yesterday's race with the winner, Jean Carbonet. that what it is? That's what it looks like in an Audi TCR car with an international top-class driver out in front with open road. Sadly, Jean Carbonet is not with us today. Aaron Seaton takes the wheel of that car. He'll line up down the back. Let's take a look at your starting lineup. It's the Alpha on pole of Dylan O'Keefe, Russell Ingall alongside on the front row of the grid, Delberto next in the Honda, then Jordan Cox in the second of the Alphas, Aaron Cameron P5 in the Volkswagen, Nathan Morecambe the first of the Hyundais, Alex Rouleau the sole remaining Astra, then James Moffat. Alexandra Whitley did a super job yesterday.
Sure did.
She starts from 9th, and Jordan Mickles, the Kiwi on debut, he's lent Aaron Seaton some boots for this race because Aaron arrived at the circuit with his dad as a spectator. He's borrowed a suit, helmet, gloves and boots, but he's in the race.
Time penalty for Jason Bright. Alex Davison and the team looked at the incident with Leanne Tander overnight, and Leanne's car, incidentally, they found a differential issue with that car and did some work on it, and also she's been learning from some of the data from the likes of JK and Russell Ingall. Lots of left foot braking is the key.
And that's what she's going to try today. It's not her normal style, but that's what she's going to do. A quick shot there of Jordan Mickles, who steps into the third of the wall racing. Honda Civics, young gun from New Zealand with his eyes wide open this weekend, learning all about this series and season. And of course, New Zealand gets its own TCR series next year, so this gives him a chance to get himself lined up. Talking about lining up, the front row is lining up, ready to go. 21 laps, 2 races today here on SBS. Great job, Kelly Racing. They've got Molly Taylor to the pit exit, ready to start this race. It has been a long, tough run for that Subaru program this year for Kelly Racing and Todd and the whole team. Let's see what she can do from the lane. On board here with Will Brown. Starts deep in the pack. Remember, he leads the points by 102. He's going to have to get going. 5-second board, ready to go. Race 2, round 4, Queensland Raceway. The Enforcer and the kid on the front row of the grid, and the Alphas made the jump to 1. Ingall slots across. He wants to cover off Tony Delberto. Oh, further back in the pack, there's drama. Contact on the way down there. James Moffat's involved. Alex Rouleau was involved in the Astra. They both managed to stay on the road after visiting the grass.
But Rouleau lost a number of positions, so good recovery, and we can see that Tony Delberto's been able to move ahead of Russell Ingall into second position. That was a good battle between those guys as they ran through the first few turns. Dylan O'Keefe, we've talked about the fact that he wants to get back in the fight. The hunt for this championship yesterday was a good outing for him. This is a perfect start by the Alpha driver. Nice work.
Out wide there, Nathan Morecambe, the Hyundai, going a long way. Sideways is Rouleau there in the Castrol Astra. There's Aaron Seaton in that blue Audi. It's his first lap at speed in this car. He's just trying to fly the flag for Melbourne Performance Centre, but great to have him in the field at the last minute today. Down to turn 4. The 2 left-handers on this corner, otherwise on this track. Otherwise, it's all right-hand corners. But O'Keefe's clear. Delberto next. Ingall dropped a spot. Now under pressure from Jordan Cox. Morecambe under fire here from Aaron Cameron. And the Hyundai takes the middle of the road. How are the others going? Martin's moving. He's already passed a pile of cars. Will Brown's moving as well.
That was my next point. Just watching the battle as they came through that final turn. Jason Bright is in the thick of it, and Will Brown looks like he's been able to make the move. Coming with him is Alex Rouleau. And Rouleau could have the inside running. Bright is on the outside. That's not ideal as we watch Leanne Tander battling with the 34 entry of James Moffat. That's for 7th place.
Great start from Leanne. She's managed to work her way forward. There's Moffat, Martin, the Honda's moving. He's up to 9th from the back of the grid. We jump on board with James Moffat, and I spoke to him earlier in the day here, because the exhausts of all these TCR cars come directly out the back, it's easy to run much hotter when you're behind another car. In fact, to the point where it can raise the temperature 5 degrees just on the back straight alone. You've got to be really wary.
I think Cameron detailed on the grid that it was quite worrying for Dylan O'Keefe in yesterday's race. The numbers, the temp was getting right up there. So he's out in clear air at the moment. That's exactly what he needs. Looks like Tony Delberto starting to slip back a little bit as those tyres come up to temperature, as all that experience comes to the fore. Russell Ingall loving the fact that he was able to grab a trophy at the end of yesterday's race. He is relishing this.
He runs 3rd at the moment. Remember, as he said on the grid to Cameron, he's not in the title fight. The points, doesn't matter. The trophies, they matter. For the others, though, they can't really afford to get in a scrap. O'Keefe at the line, 1.7 seconds clear. He's done this earlier this year, Greg, with this Alpha. He's driven away in the early laps. It's a fast little car. This is the second of them. We're on board with Jordan Cox, who's really benefiting this weekend from, well, we don't know his official title with GRM in TCR rounds, but the great Tassie veteran Greg Crick, who has been there and done it in motor racing, he's something of an advisor really inside that team at TCR. And spoke to him this morning, relishing working with Jordan Cox this weekend. He said this kid is really, really good. He's great to deal with, he's great to work with, and now he's pressuring the Audi.
Whatever our good mate Lee Diffie used to call Greg Crick Hollywood George, but he's got some wonderful advice from a massive career, lots of experience. Cox is keeping that pressure on at the moment. Chasing this man, Russell Ingall, in the 100, celebrating 100 years of Castrol. Meantime, Dylan O'Keefe has managed to pull out a lead of almost 2 seconds over Tony D'Alberto. Back with Ingall, third position. And that's a freight train of cars. Tell you who's in there as well. Aaron Cameron, 5th place. Nice work in that VW you can see on screen right now.
And that's one of the cars from the Melbourne Performance Centre team. He started, he's out wide there. He's going to get put to the grass. That wasn't the place he needed to be on Jordan Cox on the exit of turn 6. But he started from the pit lane yesterday because all of these cars have an emergency fire system in them. You press the red button and it lets fire extinguisher go everywhere inside the car to put out a fire. The only problem was there wasn't a fire. He accidentally hit it. They got him out to the race at least. He started from the pit lane, worked his way through. Now he's in a fight here, right with the Alpha. But if he makes a move, he's going to have to make it a good one because they're all lined up. Nathan Morecambe in the Hyundai, Leanne Tander in the Audi, James Moffat in the Renault, John Martin in the Honda, Will Brown in the second Hyundai. They're all together here. This is good stuff.
Leanne looks racier, I think, than yesterday. And Will Brown, fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 15.582. And you're right, Leanne, some of the learnings from the way that Russell and JK drove the cars, the aggressive way. JK has almost no gap between accelerator and brake. A lot of left foot braking technique involved in these cars. Look at this here, elbows out. Renault versus Honda.
Oh, touch there. Brown tried to follow John Martin through. That was for position. The Honda to 8th place. This fight continues. Cox has dropped back from Russell Ingall into the clutches of the V-Dub. Moffat trying to work his way back through here as well. He and Brown getting stuck into it. They're side by side on the run to turn 1. Remember, the Moffat came into the weekend second in the series. He slipped back to 3rd in the points after yesterday's race. This is still going, side by side to 2.
Love it. Brown's been able to get to 10th, but the mission from here is getting harder, and that's because he struck guys like James Moffat, who is not going to give that position up without a decent fight. So the Renault driver holds that spot right now. Position 9 as they run down the back straight into turn 3.
More race wins and more podiums in this series this year than any other driver. Will Brown, 102 points is his series lead over Dylan O'Keefe. 40 on the line to win this race. 50
yeah.
to win the one later on this afternoon. There's more on the line in race 3. So if O'Keefe can stay up there, if Brown doesn't really move through, boy oh boy, the title fight comes back alive today.
Solid job by Tony D'Alberto. He's eked out a couple of car lengths over Russell Ingall to hold down that second place, but it's on for, looks like up on 2 wheels almost. Look at this, banging. And he gets it done. That's Aaron Cameron, 4th position, gets ahead of Jordan Cox. Well done at turn 6.
On board with the Alpha. Drops back to P5. Great chance for us to see these cars work and dance and dive as they jump to turn 1. Michelin control tyre, up to temperature now. There's O'Keefe, the leader. 1.98 seconds clear. But D'Alberto is coming under fire from Russell Ingall. The Audi's not going away. Down the back straight, turn 3 awaits. Heaviest braking zone on this track. Jump on board the RS3, run by the Melbourne Performance Centre team from Melbourne. This is a car that's had a few different drivers in it over the course of the year. We saw young Super 3 star Hamish Ribberts drive this car to a podium down at Phillip Island. We saw Rick Boykers, the Dutchman, in the first round at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's been a bit of a community Audi so far this year, but Russell's made it his own for 2 weekends in a row. We might not be able to get him out of it now.
That's the question for me. How many more? Because he's thoroughly enjoying his time. Obviously, the series heads from here to the next round at Winton in Victoria, but we still have much more to come in this second race of the weekend here at Queensland Raceway at a big 3rd race this afternoon. All live here on SBS. A break and back with more. Aaron Cameron now has the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 15.159, and that was, I think, evidence. You've got the lights flashing as well. He is hunting down Russell Ingall, but I think he's asking for a tow. Is that what this is about? This was spoken about earlier in the weekend.
When you're the young bloke in the team, and these are from the same organisation, I don't think you flash the lights at the enforcer. It's probably not the best idea when you're the young guy trying to make a career of it. I don't think he's going to be that accommodating.
No, there was a fun request in qualifying to Russell, would you please help me with a tow maybe down the back straight? It just might give me a little bit, and I don't think Russell was keen to play the game. But Cameron looks fast here at the moment, doesn't he? This
he set the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 15.1. It was nearly half a second faster than anyone in the field, including the leader, Dylan O'Keefe. Here is John Martin. The Honda's 8th, Will Brown's 10th. They've hit the wall now. They haven't been able to go any further up the field from starting down the back. Cameron's locked onto the back of Ingall and D'Alberto. We're on board with James Moffat in the Renault Megane, position 9. Looking forward at John Martin. Ooh, this is where these front-wheel drive cars can really dance. Turn 2, waiting to get on the throttle. Nailing it now. Don't use quite as much of the road. There's the curb. Moffat got it all. Turn 3. This is the fight for second. D'Alberto in the Honda Civic. Ingall, Cameron, Cox, Nathan Morecambe, Leanne Tander, more competitive in this race. She was really frustrated when I saw her last night because she's just not quite there with the sort of speed that those Audis and the other drivers were able to do, and that's why she wanted to have a look at the data and see what the other drivers were doing. Brown here trying to challenge around the outside. That'll slow him down. He sits in 10th. Nice to have you with us at Queensland Raceway here on SBS. It's race 2, round 4 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. We're watching the fight here for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Tony D'Alberto, Russell Ingall. But the man at the back of this battle crew, Greg Rust, is Aaron Cameron, the young gun from Victoria in the Volkswagen Golf. He is the fastest car on the road, and he has caught the back of the tail that could get him onto the podium.
And he's not afraid to hang the thing on the curbs either. We saw him barge his way through before and at turn 6 and get a move done. This is him here going left, going right against his stablemate in Russell Ingall just a short time ago on the Actual Air replay. He goes the long way round, so he can't quite get it done there. And a similar battle unfolding between Will Brown and James Moffat. Brown has, I think as you said before, kind of hit the wall. He's not been able to clear James Moffat. But when you get just a little too far offline, particularly through turns 4 and 5 here and out into a little bit of the dirty stuff, it does hurt you in this front-wheel drive.
You can see here he's in the dirty stuff. He can't turn in, he can't get the power down because front-wheel drive race car, it needs to drive and steer all through the same tyres. This is the fight for second. D'Alberto in the Honda. He coughed up a podium yesterday. He should have finished on the podium, but this is where he made the error. Ran off the road, wide at the exit of turn 1, fell back to finish 4th on the road. Dylan O'Keefe is still the race leader, 2.7 seconds clear in the Alfa Romeo from the Ash Seaward Motorsport team. 2 race wins for him so far this year. There he is, bottom of shot, and he's done this a few times this year. When he gets to the front, gets a margin, ooh, he's hard to catch.
How do you reckon the radio chat is down at Melbourne Performance Centre with Aaron Cameron looking really racy, but the ultra-experienced Russell Ingall, who is not going to give up a podium, a trophy, without a fight. It'll be a good fight too.
It might be one of those radio transmissions where Russell, clunk.
Your call cannot be connected.
He's really enjoying his time here, actually. He's mixing up with a range of drivers, so he's probably not racing with. Aaron Cameron's a guy who's only a young guy who's come from the 86s and karting, and of course he's raced against Tony D'Alberto over the years in supercars. The pressure's on here though. Cameron sending it to the outside again, just probing the back of that Castrol Audi, number 100, trying to tuck it back in and get the run. This time across the line, 10 laps down, 21 laps, half-hour time races in TCR Australia, but this is a good fight.
Good clean air for Dylan O'Keefe, and he's just ticking away with the laps, doing it perfectly. He's built, Aaron, a lead of almost 3 seconds now over Tony D'Alberto, and that's because D'Alberto has his hands full with Russell Ingall and Aaron Cameron. So this is all good for the Alfa Romeo driver, who we've kind of nicknamed, kind of christened this weekend, Peter Parker. He's got the perfect hair, Spider-Man out in front and doing it.
It's more the hair than the jumping buildings thing, though. We should point that out. It's down at turn 3. I tell you what, though, Jordan Cox is starting to come into the fight with this battle pack here. The number 7 Alfa Romeo, there he is, stepping into this car this weekend. He debuted in TCR last time out of the bend in one of the Honda Civics from David Wall's team, and moves across to take over the number 7 Alfa this weekend. Jimmy Vernon started the year in that car, and GRM tell us that Jimmy will be back for the next round. And of course, we've got Sandown to come in September, and another trip to the bend in November to round out the inaugural series of TCR Australia. On board with Ingall, Cameron's still keeping that pressure on, but Martin and Brown, who started in the back of the pack, 8th and 10th, they have not made any more ground.
Updating all the info in the lane for us is Emma Notta Francesco, and here's Cameron Van der Duggan.
So one of the updates for you late in his race, and something I picked up yesterday, brake knockoff and pad knockoff, I should say, was a very big issue with the pedal going slightly long, slightly spongy for nearly every driver yesterday. They haven't seen temperatures this high so far this season, and also the stopping points around this circuit meant it's very hard on brakes, with a lot of teams reporting that it was eating discs. Now, I did go and jump in with Melbourne Performance Centre and asked if they were going to ask Russell to move over for Aaron Cameron, and not one of them wanted to get on the radio to Russell.
You do it, Cam. Over to you. Good luck with that. Back to this battle for second place, and we've seen some real interest in this class from other areas of Australian motorsport this weekend. Some significant members and big teams in the sport in this country. Chaz Mostert looked like he'd stepped off a tractor somewhere yesterday in shorts, boots, and a big kind of country slouch hat. And Liam Talbot, who's a bit of a gun in GT racing in this country, he's floating around today as well. Pretty cool.
Well, Aaron Seton was floating around and ended up in the motor race,
awesome.
So you never know when you might get a drive.
Ingall.
Here we go. This is for second.
Yeah.
Side by side, the big beneficiary here might just be Aaron Cameron. You'll wait and watch and see, because 2 cars side by side at turn 1 can open up the door for turn 2. Let's see what happens here. Ingall down the inside, got it done. D'Alberto's in the dirty stuff, and he knows, because he covers off Cameron, who can't dive, and that's let Ingall get margin. Now, the big question, can he go after the Alfa?
Oh, and for me, what happened with Tony D'Alberto down at turn 6? Was it just a little hot, a little wide? Ingall in there nicely as well, and he was able to sneak up the inside, make maximum advantage of it, and put himself in the perfect place for the run to 1.
Reminds me that Aaron Cameron this year had, remember, a podium at Phillip Island, but had it taken away with a post-race penalty. Replay here at turn 6, and this is the Honda just in a little too deep. Can't get it turned, can't get it driving, and Russell is down the inside and will not need, well, he doesn't need an invitation, let alone a second one, and through he goes to P2. The margin to the lead is 3.15 seconds between this car, the number 9 Alfa Romeo, and the Audi with Ingall. And I think for D'Alberto, it's more a case now of defending from Aaron Cameron rather than attacking Russell Ingall, who's got away.
I'd like to know from Cam if there is an issue potentially here for Tony D'Alberto. We know that Aaron Cameron is racing, but look at the ground that Russell Ingall has made already. Now, we understand there is no issue for Tony D'Alberto, but he looked like he must have been maxed out on the braking going down into 6. Car just a fraction awkward, and it was all the invitation that Russell Ingall needed to get through.
So now this is on for the final spot on the podium. Remember, it's a very short, sharp break between the 2 races today. There's a parc fermé period where they're not allowed to touch the cars. Parc fermé is French for closed park, despite what others might tell you that it's a crazy French word.
You were French at school, weren't you?
Well, 4 years of it had to come in good for something. That's about all I've got. But that's what it is. So they can't touch the cars for a period, and then they have a short working period before they can then turn them around and put them back on the grid. So where you finish this race is where you start the next one.
And as we saw at the last round at Tailem Bend, it's one of the really exciting parts of the weekend as we see Aaron Cameron get it done on the Honda. Up at turn 4, beautiful stuff, and moves into position number 3 now.
Great job. Really came from, well, not that far back, but he got it done. And the Honda just looks like it's getting a little weaker as the race gets longer.
That's why I question marked it before. We hear from the lane it's okay, so
This was the move, turn 4. The Golf GTI down the inside of the Civic Type R. To update the order, O'Keefe's lead has been trimmed. Ingall's got it to 2.5 seconds. He was 0.3 faster last time around. Back on board with Moffat, position 9. His teammate Chris Pither is running around at the tail of the field last in the sister car, about 3 seconds a lap off the pace. So there's some form of an issue with that car. Remember, they changed the engine from yesterday. It's been a miserable weekend for car 33. Emma?
Speaking of Chris Pither, I'm getting the update now from Murray Rogers. Well off the pace, Chris. Is there any issues he's reported to?
Yeah, look, it appears he's got no boost, so he's really running around out there with a 1.8 four-cylinder car with no turbo, so hence a battle with power. Probably very frustrating for him, but anyway, we'll complete the race and have a look over it. There's probably not much we can do for the next race, but we'll see how we go.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Wall Racing are adamant that Tony D'Alberto not talking about any issues with the car so far, but I have been chasing down the brake story. HMO Customer Racing saying that they're having a lot of troubles with the brakes. The early part of the braking is okay, but then it's just going long on them, so they're not able to pull the car up. Nathan Morecambe in particular complaining about the brakes.
Well, Cam, he had a wholesale change to the brake setup on that car of Nathan Morecambe on Friday. So good numbers starting to pop up for Russell Ingall. Quickest of the race now, 1 minute 15.04. Paul Morris said to me yesterday, hey, how good's the old bloke going? I said, well, you're being a bit cheeky. But Russell is thriving in this environment, and you never stop learning as a racing driver. He felt at Taylor Bend there was a bit in it in learning the way the differential behaved in this car, the way to drive them, and he's continued that learning curve here off the back of that trophy yesterday. He is, as I said before, relishing this.
He's trimmed the margin to an even 2 seconds to Dylan O'Keefe. 6 laps left to run. We're on board there with James Moffat. 2 podiums for him in this car at the Ben Motorsport Park in South Australia. Now let's do some numbers here, Greg. Will Brown runs position 10. That'll be 16 points. If Dylan O'Keefe wins, that's 40 points. Do the numbers. There's another 24 that go towards the Alfa Romeo driver. He's chipping his way back into the title fight. Remember, massive accident with his car at Phillip Island and huge damage in the last race. And then he had a shocker at the Ben Motorsport Park. So he's got to claw his way back into the game. There's been a few times this year where Will Brown really should have come away with no points, but he's clawed his way out of the lion's den a couple of times. He's not clawing out of it today.
Joe Sasso is on the left of the box that we have for you, the bottom right of the screen. Joe's a guy with an enormous amount of experience in the sport. Worked at Holden Racing Team, has worked with Russell at Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport. Started in the game back with John Faulkner, if memory serves, the boss of Melbourne Performance in the centre. And we saw Paul Sepranich to the far right before, a guy with a huge amount of engineering nous and experience in this game.
And that's Troy Russell, of course, the who you speak, the head of MPC, that if you want to race an Audi or a VW or anything in this part of the world, he's the guy you need to go and talk to, whether it's TCR or GT. Here's a good fight. Look at this, down at turn 3. John Martin going the long way on Leanne Tander. Leanne's been really in the game here in this one. P7 is on the line. Martin is trying to take it off her, but she's been running really solidly in that spot in this race so far. Martin's next. Moffat's in the queue. Brown's lined up too, but they haven't been able to get by this Audi.
A couple of other stories. Alex Rouleau still knocking on the door of the top 10. That incident for him on the run to turn 1 off the start of this race has really hurt him. He's only been able to get to 11th. Improved showing from Jordan Mickles, who's still getting used to this Honda, learning it, and he's got his eyes very much set on the New Zealand Summer Series for TCR.
He's had a run in a TCR car in New Zealand. There's a few of them there. Martin's down the inside. He's got the move done. He's had a run in Hyundai, Jordan Mickles, but this is a new thing for him in the Honda this weekend. Learning the track, learning the scene. Of course, New Zealand gets its own TCR series that kicks off in summer 2020. Martin through, P7 in the Honda. Big margin, though, for him to get to the next one in the queue. Moffat down the inside. Leanne won't be able to fight this one, and that'll open the door for Will Brown to get a run towards turn 3. So 2 spots back for Leanne Tander in just a couple of corners. She's going to cover the middle of the road, inside line here, and make Will Brown go the long way. Couple of laps to go. Margin out front between O'Keefe and Ingall is 2.1 seconds. It looks like the Alpha's got enough here, but Ingall's been slowly but surely creeping his way forward.
This has been a battle for the championship leader, hasn't it, for Will Brown? He's not been able to make any other ground since he got to position number 10, so has fought from the back of the grid. As we jump aboard with Moff, such a street fighter. Little bit of a moment for Leanne, that's all it took. Straight through at turn 3.
And remember that Martin had just got the move done on Tander as well, so 2 for 1 there. just been able to get it rolling again and stave off the Hyundai i30N of Will Brown. This car's run by HMO Customer Racing. His teammates with Nathan Morecambe, based in Sydney, this team. And the i30N's become a very competitive package in TCR racing around the world. Back on board with Will Brown from Toowoomba. This is his home round of TCR. Last weekend raced here in the Super 2 Series in the Commodore for Ben and Rachel Eggleston's team. He's having a tough year in Super 2, but he's having a ripping year in TCR. A couple of laps left to go. Can he find another position and 2 more series points? But it looks like that Hyundai is not really capable of moving any further forward. Ingles chipping. 1.8 seconds now the margin between he and Dylan O'Keefe. O'Keefe cannot afford an error. He's probably got enough margin to get home and win this one, but one mistake and the Audi's in the game.
The question I think some are probably asking in relation to Will Brown as well, they've got some great balance of performance measures in this category of racing, internationally mandated, but we know that Will's been very successful in this championship so far. So is that success, you know, a little something that's, you know, holding you back at present? What comes with that?
Remember too that balance of performance for TCR is based on the performance of the cars all around the world in every series. Barry Hay there, well, he's on the side of the guy that's leading the way, but he was on the side of the guy who's chasing back in the day, Russell Ingall, and he worked together at Stone Brothers Racing. In those days, Ingall drove car number 9. He's chasing car number 9 at the moment. Of course, they were together during that great Stone Brothers era where Russell won the championship in 2005. And now, I spoke to Barry the other day, he's really keen to win this TCR series with Dylan O'Keefe, with Ash Seawood Motorsport, because that would be a really good one to have on the resume with this young kid. He's just 21 years of age, Dylan O'Keefe. He's doing the Super 2 Series. He works at GRM. They've gone by Chris Pither, who is running slowly here down the back straight just in front of the field. As we heard before, no turbo boost from the Renault Megane Car 33. So poor Chris Pither is just driving around by himself with no one to race against, and he's just going to have to move out of the way. Aaron Cameron flashed the lights at Russell Ingall again there. Not a good career developing opportunity, I would have thought.
Brilliant stuff from O'Keefe, you'd have to say. I mean, built that lead. It's trimmed now to just on a second.
1 lap to go.
But is he just managing that? Is this about points? Is this about making the right play? Remember, he's in the perfect spot for the start of race 3 this afternoon, and another shot at 50 points. He could walk away from Queensland having significantly trimmed Will Brown's advantage. Yet to be seen, obviously, with one more race to come, and we'll bring you all the action and news that unfolds from pit lane in between our 2 races. So stay with us for the coverage.
Cameron's still got the lights flashing. Ingles still keeping the pressure on O'Keefe, who I reckon you're right, is just going to do enough that it takes to get home, bank the 40 series points and move on to the final race this afternoon. We're on our way home. Race 2, it's a 7-round, 21-race series for TCR Australia. Back on board with Russell Ingall. He's on target for another podium position. He's working his way forward. Yesterday it was P3, today it's P2. If the numbers continue like this, it'll be a very good race 3 for Russell Ingall. Cameron's flashing the lights again, but it's still not going to do anything. Dylan O'Keefe, 2 race wins so far this year, make it 3. The Alfa Romeo has made it off the final turn. Dylan O'Keefe fighting back in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. He takes race 2 at Queensland Raceway. Great stuff for the Ash Seawood Motorsport team. Ingall 2nd, Cameron 3rd. So it's Alfa, Audi and Volkswagen on the podium. D'Alberto is 4th in the Honda Civic Type R. Jordan Cox is next. And Will Brown, our series points leader, finished in 10th. He made some ground in the opening laps, but wasn't able to push on through. So Dylan O'Keefe picks up the win on board the Alfa Romeo. These cars are produced by an organisation, Romeo Ferraris, from Italy, who had representatives at the last round, in fact, at Ben Motorsport Park. Thrilled to see what is being done with those cars in this corner of the world as Australia begins its chapter of TCR racing. Russell Ingall, we just can't keep him away, and he's on the podium again. Let's recap the official order in race 2 here at Queensland Raceway. O'Keefe, Ingall and Cameron. Further back, Jordan Cox next from Nathan Morecambe. John Martin from the back of the field to 7th. Then James Moffat, Leanne Tander and Will Brown rounded out the top 10. Look at the variety of the brands. 8 different brands represented on the grid here this weekend in TCR Australia. Just outside, Alex Rouleau outside the 10, position 11 in the Castrol Holden Astra from Kelly Racing. Jordan Mickles next in the Honda. Jason Bright struggling with his V-dub this weekend. Aaron Seaton back to the grid, last minute deal. He ended up finishing in P14. Molly Taylor started from pit lane, the Subaru 15th, Alexandra Whitley and Chris Pither. All 17 cars that lined up for this race have made it to the finish, and they will now roll back to the pit lane and go under parc fermé conditions where the teams cannot touch these cars. So if there's any setup tweaks that you'd like to make, repairs that you'd like to make, you have to wait, and then you've got a very short, sharp window to get it done and send them back onto the road for that final race, which of course race 3 in every round of Car Sales TCR Australia is worth more points, 50 points to win the remaining race today. But for right now, it's a case of recognising and celebrating those who have achieved, and it's the top 3 who have done it. 3 different cars in the top 3, 4 in the top 4 in fact, when you take into account that Tony D'Alberto was 4th in the Honda Civic. Thumbs up too from Dylan O'Keefe. He's done a really nice job and scored his 3rd race win of the season. Rusty is down there in the lane.
He gets the congratulations from team boss Ash Seawood, and Barry Hayes in the background. We'll wander around and have a chat with the Spider-Man as he gets set to take the helmet off. That is super, mate. I know after the last round at Tailem Bend how important it was to get it done, to win that race. What's it mean to you? Give us a sense of that.
Yeah, the car was great. I just tried to do a consistent lap time, nothing too silly. Yesterday we had quite a lot of brake knock-off and brake wear, so tried to be really careful on the brakes and front tyres. I saw these other 2 coming at me, and then they were quite quick, but hopefully in the next race we can stay up front and build a gap. So it's great for the championship, just got to keep doing this.
All right, so that's the big goal at the end of the weekend. Car feels okay going into the final one of the weekend, no changes?
No real changes. We just had to account for the high fuel load because we're fueled for both races here, so I expect the car to be a bit quicker in that last race today. So more points, so see how we go.
There you go, a little something special, courtesy of Car Sales TCR Australia. Enjoy that, well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Dylan O'Keefe, so we'll keep wandering here because yesterday he went 3rd, right now he's got 2nd. So the question for me is, can you go number 1 in the final of the weekend?
2, 3, 1. It's got a good ring, Rusty. Yeah, no, it was a bit tougher in different ways because I saw Tony D'Alberto start to fade. His car started getting a lot of push into it. I thought, I've got to attack now because I saw young Aaron Cameron coming up on me. I don't want to be in this sandwich, so managed to get past Tony. I think if there was a few more laps, I think I would have got Darryl, I reckon. His tyres started to go off. We've got good tyre consistency. If we can get in front, I think we can gap.
I love the tenacity, mate. The fact that you don't stop learning. You said that to me yesterday. Have the little subtle things that you've learned between Tailem Bend and here help? Because you've got to drive these things a certain way, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And coming to a track that I know, so I'm still learning the car, but at least I know the track. But I tell you one thing that you never forget, that's how to be competitive, mate. I tell you what, I was out there and I thought, you know what, second's pretty good. And then I almost punched myself in the head. I'm going, are you kidding me? Let's go for first. It never goes away, no matter how old you are.
Hey, just quickly, as we give you that awesome 2nd place trophy, young fella was flashing the lights in the background there. What did you think about that?
I actually laugh every time someone does that. As soon as they flash the lights, I'm going, really? Do you think I'm a rookie? Go away.
Enjoy that final race.
Thanks, buddy.
There he is, Russell Ingall. So we'll wander down to 3rd place here because the young fella, Aaron Cameron, did a ripping job. You threw everything at it. The car at one point was almost up on 2 wheels through turn 6. You were giving it a real crack.
Yeah, look, after the incident with me hitting the firebomb yesterday, I really wanted to make up for myself and the team. So, yeah, it was a really good race, getting past some really talented guys. And Russell, he still doesn't crack under pressure, even though he's getting on a bit now, but that's all right. So on to the next one.
You threw everything at it. Did you think for a moment that he would relinquish that spot? It's hard to see him doing that. He's just not that kind of character, is he?
Yeah, he's not that sort of character. And the team was saying, Aaron, just stay calm. 3rd place is good, but yeah, 2nd front row start would have been better, but it's all good. We'll see how we go next one.
Speaking of 3rd place, from Car Sales TCR Australia, there is that trophy for you to enjoy. Very quickly before we wrap this up, car's okay. Any changes for the final one in this short window that we have now?
Oh, we might try and tune up the exits of the turn 1, 2. We've got a bit of understeer there, and yeah, see how we go. But otherwise, she's all sweet.
There you go, Nerds.
Yeah, did a great job. Had a podium at Phillip Island. He got another one at the Bend, but he lost it with a post-race penalty. So he gets his 2nd podium in TCR Australia. Stay with us here on SBS. All the action of race 3 is not far away. Come back and join us at Queensland Raceway in just a sec.
So